question for you. You mentioned something that made me recoil. I felt myself like, whoa, somebody posts something and you said block next.
Yeah.
Immediately I recoil because how do you know, this is a very personal question maybe to you, but also the person listening, like how do we know if someone's being toxic or they're triggering something in us that we need to address? Like they're saying something that's getting us to, like it's making us feel bad or feel icky or weird.
Right.
And because sometimes we just go block next when that happens too.
Right.
So
and
how
that
do
was
we know
actually
that?
input we needed.
Yes. So that's what I would fear.
It's when there, so I don't usually ever do that immediately. I want to sort of, I use the ENFP technique of like micro pinging. It's like you give a little bit of a response and see how the person responds back without a big investment. And is there a game going on? And trolling is an example of somebody who's playing a game. So an example would be this: the person who posts something that is aggressive, but not explicitly very rude. It's just aggressive. And then the moment anyone responds back that isn't perfectly nice, that person is accused of being rude. And therefore, there's a game of always like, oh, well, I can be basically over the top like a bully, but if you do it, then I'm going to immediately call that out. And this is a particular kind of game that can be played. Or with introverted thinking, there are ISTPs and INTPs who play the nitpicking game a lot. And it's like, they say, oh no, I want a purely like intellectual conversation about the topic. And I'm like, no, actually, you clearly don't. Because you don't want to, you're very closed and you just want to nitpick certain things. And let's say they say several things which are materially untrue. And then they'll be like, oh, you're right, this is this. But, and then it just turns back to something else. And by the time 3 interactions have happened, the person has already forgotten or didn't notice what you said. And then it again brings it up. Either they're extremely stupid, but I don't think so. Or they're playing a game, which is the nitpicking game. And Yves Deleuze, talks quite a bit about survival games that personalities play. NTs in particular are prone to the nitpicking game. Mm-hmm. And it's a way to express their ego and to feel good. And it's a kind of like intellectual bullying or intellectual masturbation, to use that French word. And is just like, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I do lodge it in my brain somewhere, but then I'm like, I don't need to participate. And so when I detect that something is a game, I'm just like, I'm out of here because there's a lack of integrity in the person's interaction.
Okay, then so we could say maybe that your personal metric is genuineness. If
yes.
the person's being genuine in their interaction.
Absolutely,
Even if it's aggressive, maybe a little over the top. Maybe they're not paying attention to detail, but they're really genuinely showing up.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I don't expect that the person, that is going to be perfect or answer all of my questions or like whatever it is. I mean, that's not, it's just about, is the person genuine and are they, especially with something intellectual, is there integrity with it? Or is the person sort of not just doing lack of integrity, but they're often trapped within a particular paradigm. And I'm like, and this is sort of the curse of INTJ. I listen to somebody. The reason I know what they're going to say next is because I detect what their paradigm is. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, oh, it's a waste of time. Like it's literally a waste of time. I will never reach this person.
Because they can't think outside of that.
They can't. There are people who go, like they learn like 5-factor model in psychology. They're like, basically the scores you get in 5-factor model are your personality. It's not that the scores are a map to a territory of a person. The scores are your personality. And I'm like, if that's what the person believes and they have this paradigm about measurement as reality, unless I call that out, and that's why I'm not afraid of ad hominem attacks on people, because I don't really see it as that. I'm just like, your paradigm is bad. It's not even, it sounds like it's you that's bad, but it's your paradigm that's bad. But I'm not going to address the topic you're saying because it's pointless. I refuse to play by your rules. And I think a lot of thinking types do that, is they expect other people when they're in the toxic space to play by their rules. And then I think for the feeling types, it's like you need to excuse yourself from that unless they're asking you to be more responsible. And then it goes back to the thing you said.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's what you said then is it ultimately comes down to is how can you step up to be more responsible and more authentic? And that those are like essential pieces there.